Yeah, I can see you, bro.
So it shows up live?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Where you at? Let me make sure. Let me retweet you. Right. This good, so I won't have to. So I won't have to do my own video. I just say everything on you.
That's what's up, man.
People been hitting me up, man. You
I already
gonna do a
know.
space? You gonna do a video? I said, man,
That's
I,
why I've been waiting. I was kind of waiting to see what you was gonna do first before I had you come on here. You know what I'm saying? So I could let you get whatever you wanted to
yeah,
get out.
no, I be waiting because man, so much has been happening since Saturday. It's just so much. So I'm just like, let me just wait and just let it all collect. Cause I mean, it's this stuff, man. It's nonstop. So
It is, man. It's been, especially after that shooting. I mean, it's been crazy because I haven't really been keeping up with it because I work so much.
yeah,
But just me trying to lock in to what I have been able to lock in on, it's a lot going on.
yeah.
But man, I appreciate everybody coming through, man. It's the RoddyRod Show. I got my boy Reverend Damien on here with me. Y'all can follow him at Noble Negro.
Yes, sir.
And we're gonna talk about Trump, the Republican Party, the VP picks, and different things like that. So my first question is about the assassination attempt. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, hold on. I'm retweeting
Go
real
ahead, go
quick.
ahead.
Hold on.
I'm finna play the video.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm trying to get some folk in here.
Tell Fox News an officer confronted the gunman and then retreated.
Caroline Elliott joining us live in Butler, Pennsylvania from outside the crime scene. Caroline, what have you learned?
Sylvia, Terrence, we're told police officers had the opportunity to stop the shooter as early as 30 minutes before. Federal law enforcement sources tell us tips were coming in, warning police officers of a suspicious man on the roof, but nothing happened until those shots were fired. Federal law enforcement sources also tell us a local police officer took a photo of the shooter about half an hour before and flagged it to state police. Eventually, the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, made it to the rooftop armed with an AR-style rifle. Law enforcement sources tell us rally-goers warned police again. According to the Butler County Sheriff, he says around the same time, a local police officer lifted another officer onto the roof. That's when the shooter aimed his rifle at the officer, and the officer ducked for cover. Moments later, the shooter fired several shots toward the crowd, killing one Trump supporter, injuring two others. And as police pointed out, Donald Trump came within millimeters of taking a bullet to the head. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says the shooting should have never happened.
Pennsylvania State Police is leading the investigation.
Now, Damien, I seen that guy, but I had seen a video on Twitter. I don't know if you saw the same video with somebody who was saying that they was Thomas Matthew Crooks.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was like, you got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, there was somebody trolling on Twitter,
Okay.
and just being inaccurate. So no, they kind of look alike, look similar, but that wasn't the same guy.
Okay. But yeah, man, as far as this assassination attempt, I feel like I believe it, but I just it's just something about it that just doesn't sit right with me. I don't think he had something to do with it or somebody else had something to do with it. It just doesn't sit right. It's almost like they're trying to lead us somewhere.
Yeah, man. Let me just say this, man. First of all, thank you for having me on your show, Rod. I appreciate it, man. So I'm gonna say this. I talked to my dad about this, and he told me to watch what I say in public. So I'm gonna keep that in mind as I'm talking about this.
That's true. I got you.
Because he's like, man. He said, man, the feds listening, man. So, yeah, man. I'm honestly like, I went to church Sunday. And before I went to church, so this happened Saturday. I went to church Sunday, but my wife and my child, we were sitting eating breakfast. My wife made breakfast on Sunday morning before we went to church. And we ate, and I always love sitting down with my family. But I told my wife, I said, man, I got to get my mind right. I got to get in the right headspace before I go to church. Because, I didn't have to preach, but I may have to do altar prayer or whatever. Like, I got to be in the right headspace. She was like, what's wrong? I was like, man, that, my president, Trump, my guy, almost got his head blown off yesterday. And he almost got his head blown off, not because he was bothering somebody, Not because he's a bully, not because he was in enemy territory, simply because he wants to make America great again. Simply because he has a differing political ideology than some other people. And so that really shook me up, right? Because if you're in this country and you feel like the direction that we're heading in right now is not the right direction, and you want to lift your voice and use your First Amendment right to let folks know what that is, and to talk about how you can make America greater, but kill you for that, man, we're headed in a terrible direction. But that also showed us why we need Trump in the White House to make America great. When we're trying to blow somebody's head off for being in a different political party, our country is not portraying itself as great. When we have a president in the White House right now that's using the DOJ and the FBI and weaponizing those agencies to go after his political opponent and hiding his hand, like America is not portraying itself as a great nation. And then, Rod, when we look at the logistical and strategical and the tactical actions of the Secret Service and all the law enforcement involved on Saturday, and all the information that we're now hearing after the fact, all the blunders that we saw, even Stevie Wonder could see those issues, Rod.
Even all those people who were saying that they seen the shooter before it even went down.
I mean, when you talk about the Secret Service should be the most tactical, the most tightest, the most sharpest, the most on point entity in this nation. You're guarding our leader or our leaders, right? There's no room for mistakes. So if there are rooftops that have a straight line of sight to the principal, that needs to be handled and covered, right? Everybody that comes in the perimeter in the event, they need to be checked and pockets empty. The guy, as we understand, the shooter came in with a rangefinder and scoped out the distance.
I see. That's new. That's a new detail to me.
Dude,
he had a rangefinder.
They said he came in with a rangefinder. Number one, he also was able to climb a building, right, with a rifle. And it's been reported that there were snipers in the building. And then, as you mentioned, they said there were everyday attendees that watched the guy. And then other news came out today and said they knew about the shooter an hour before Trump went on stage. So why did Trump even go on stage? Then there's even reports that the snipers saw the shooter, but the Secret Service,
they told him not to shoot. They told him to stand down.
You see what I'm saying? And so, man, I'm so disappointed on so many different levels. The Secret Service director, I can't think of her name right now. She needs to step down yesterday. I mean, this is an abject embarrassment to the greatness of America. She clearly has shown that under her leadership, they cannot do their jobs properly. Even the agents did not look like they were up to par. And so it's clear to me, I don't know who it is. Somebody said it was maybe Iran. I don't know who's involved with it. But all I know is that there are some forces that are looking to take out Donald Trump. I want people to also remember that starting next week, he's going to start once he gets the nomination, the White House then has to start briefing him on foreign intelligence things. And so my thought was maybe folks didn't want him to be able to get that intelligence going forward. So somebody's trying to take him out. But when people are coming after you in that way, it shows that you're over the target, you're moving the needle, and people support you. And so that dude almost took a bullet, and he's keep moving forward in a strong way. And I think his poll numbers are going to increase. But that's the type of strength and leadership that we need in the White House, Rod.
Right, and you know what really bothers me is when I hear people say stuff like, "Oh, I'm still going to vote for Joe Biden." You know, they can roll a corpse up there. And I just can't wrap my head around them saying that when you got somebody who's actually competent. You know what I'm saying? You may not agree with him, but you telling me you going to vote for somebody who can't even remember what's going on
man,
from minute to minute?
Now they're saying the dude got COVID, man.
Yeah.
I mean, these
he's
lies,
out.
These
I
lies.
seen your post.
these lies out of the White House are just getting comical at this point, man. You know, he has COVID, but I ain't seen him wear a mask yet. So he's in a restaurant talking to people with COVID. He's walking to Air Force One, and they said before he got on Air Force One, he told the crew, "I feel great."
Sick. Oh,
but he doesn't have a mask on. But then they say he also met with Senate Leader Chuck Schumer once he got back to Delaware, and they had a 1-to-1 meeting. But how is it? How can you meet with Schumer?
How can you travel and do all of that?
Yeah, but how can you meet the Schumer face to face when you got COVID? Shouldn't you be in quarantine? Like, these lies are getting out of hand. It's laughable right now. But again, because of all the issues that Biden has, his ability to remember stuff, he's yelling out of nowhere. He's lying all over the place. Now he's sick. He had a bad night. The focus is now on Biden's issues and not on America's issues. And so he's a huge distraction. But the problem is Democrats are stuck with him. They said that's who they wanted to rock with. They said they're riding with Biden, so you got to ride with him to November.
You got to ride till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
And another point I wanted to point out to you was,
yes, sir.
The shooter was so bad, he ended up killing an innocent person.
Oh man, you know what?
That was the kicker for me.
So here's the humanity part. Like you know our boy Ronno, he's famous. He's famous for saying in spaces about what we call political gangbanging, right? You know, the Democrats want to gangbang on the Republicans. The Republicans want to gangbang on the Democrats. I really don't like to participate in that type of action, but I know it happens. What was the point? What would you ask me? What was the point? I'm acting like Joe Biden now.
I kind of forgot myself, but
no, you were saying the shooter something.
Oh, the shooter he missed and hit an innocent person.
Right. Okay, yeah. So the point I was going to make about decency. Here's the biggest thing for me. Barron Trump, Trump's youngest son, was at that rally.
Right.
Sitting on the front row.
Right.
If Trump didn't turn his head the way he did, that kid would have saw his dad's head blown off. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? But then you look a few feet behind, a firefighter, I think the guy's name Corey something. God bless his soul. God bless his family. He got his head blown off right there because the shooter was so bad, and he was shielding and protecting his daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's sad, man. That's sad, right? But all because they support Trump, all because they're not a Democrat, and what I like to call, I believe that Democrats are responsible. Their language, they've called Trump a dictator. They've called him a threat to democracy. They've called him Hitler. And that type of language has incited a left-wing extremist. That's what that kid is, a left-wing extremist that heard the rhetoric from Joe Biden and others, right? And said, hey, if he's a threat to democracy, I got to take him out, right? And you end up killing innocent people. And so I hate that. Politics should not be about that, right? You should be able to come to the marketplace of ideas and share your disagreement. Hey, I think we need Roe v. Wade, or I think we don't need Roe v. Wade. That's fine. Let's have a respectful adult conversation about that, about how we see what America should be about. You know, I believe in same-sex marriage. I don't believe in, and let's talk about those things, right? I believe America's urban cities have crime issues. I don't believe that. So we can talk about that, but we ain't got to pull out guns and kill each other over that. You know what I mean? I think we're better than that as a nation. If we call ourselves the greatest nation on the globe, we can't devolve into that type of degeneracy in our political discourse.
And I think too, because me coming from that side, it's fear mongering.
What side? What side?
From I used to be a Democrat, bro. I used to be a Democrat.
I thought you were still a Democrat.
Oh hell no!
You be sounding like a Democrat shield in some of these spaces.
Me? You don't even hear me talk. You don't even hear me talk in most of these spaces. But yeah, man. I mean, me coming from the other side. Funny. Me coming from the other side, bro. Like all they do is fear monger, and I was a part of that. Like we're gonna go into slavery, and this is gonna happen to black people, and this is gonna happen to us. And like now, I'm just like, you can't scare me with nothing like that. I can't. You can't even make me believe that. Like right now with this 2025 shit.
Yeah.
I haven't even read it, bro. I won't even waste my time. It's fear mongering. It's fear mongering.
Yeah.
You're not gonna scare me to make me vote one way when I know better.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I gotta make notes because I got points I be wanting to make.
All right.
And I want to forget them. So yeah, I like you. I used to be a Democrat too, and I mean it's crazy, man. I was telling somebody, I'm so proud because 4 years ago, our language was so different as a country. We were in the middle of COVID. As a black person, if you even sounded like you were against Democrats or supporting Trump, people would berate you. They would excoriate you. They would call you everything in the book, man. I ran for office and I announced as a Republican, man, and so many people talked about me, distanced themselves from me, people that I thought were in my corner, people that said they loved me for all these years. As soon as I said I'm a Republican, I ain't heard from some of them people since, right? But that's how it is. But I'm so proud, like today, that all those people who were so anti-Trump and pro-Biden, a lot of their language is changing now. Some of those people now are independent. Some of those people are Trumpers. You got a few people still holding on because they just don't want to embarrass themselves. But I think a lot of, especially black people, are getting past the vote shaming, right? When I first came on Twitter, man, people used to dog me out for coming in space as a black person.
I remember that, man.
Yeah,
man, I remember that, Damien. I remember that.
And, but but I knew what I was intending to do, and here we are 2.5 years later, and people talking the same language I'm talking, right? Because now we've seen the tide turn, and we've seen the way Trump has carried himself, the way he's fought through all these different barriers and issues, man. So you can't get free thinking black people with that fear monger. Dr. Cornel West is one of my favorite people who's running for president right now. He always calls himself, I'm a Jesus loving, free thinking black man, right? And that's what I like to call myself. And if you're a free thinker, right, and you're open to listening to various ideas and understanding and learning new truths and new information, you're not falling for this fear mongering, this crap that Democrats are spewing towards you. And when we talk about this Project 2025, I haven't read it either. Don't care about it. Trump said he ain't got nothing to do with it, so I take his word for it. Ain't no point in me. It's 900 pages. So most of the people,
come on now,
most of the
people out here claiming that they read it, David.
Man, they haven't read it. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what I know about social media, man. People don't read. They don't read paragraphs.
They watch videos.
They watch videos, Rod. So you're not going to tell me that you read 900 pages. Most of y'all are not literate. You know what I'm saying? Literacy rates in this country are dropping because of social media, and you don't have to write full sentence. A lot of people don't have handwriting. A lot of people can't write in cursive. So you ain't telling me that you read a 900-page political research resource. You're lying to me. So I'm not going to engage in a conversation. But I tell you one thing that folks have already read and we've already seen the after effects of is Project 1994. All right.
I heard somebody was saying that you was talking about this.
Yeah. No, let's talk about that for a moment here, Rod. Project 1994. You might say, Damien, what is Project 1994? I never heard of that before. Oh, you've heard of it. You've seen the effects of it, but it went by a different name. It's called the 1994 crime bill.
I figured you was,
that Joe Biden was proud to be the architect of. To legislate, to get pushed through, in the ways in which he talked about black kids being miscreants, being unredeemable, being super predators, saying, I don't care how they grew up, we need to lock them up and throw away the key. In Project 1994, if you were placed in prison, you lost the ability to even get Pell Grants after the fact to even educate and rehabilitate yourself. So Joe Biden wanted you, once you got out of jail, to rot in hell and never become a productive person in society, right? In Project 1994, of which we know what the after effects are. People were locked up. Grandparents were locked up for non-violent offenses. There was one woman, matter of fact, Trump pardoned her. Man, they gave that lady almost 25 years for having like a small bag of cocaine or something, right? She wasn't moving no big weight. Get that woman 30 years, man. But this is what Joe Biden is proud of. But guess what? Check Google wherever you want to, Chat GPT. He's never apologized for it. And he had 8 years with Obama to fix it. He had 4 years of his own presidency to fix it, and he ain't fixed it. He ain't apologized for it because he ain't remorseful for it.
Right.
And that's why we can't keep that clown in the White House any longer.
If I had known you was gonna say that, I could pull up that clip when him and Trump first ran against each other, and somebody asked him that, and he avoided that question. He did not want to say he apologized for it. He deflected. He went all the way around it. He did everything but apologize for what he did in 1994.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Joe Biden represents this old guard of politicians. And I'm a political historian. I've studied presidents all the way back to the 1800s. I've studied politicians and their mannerisms and the ways in which they go about things. And he comes out of that old guard of politician that can be slick in his language, that can raise his voice and yell and makes it sound like it's the truth, right? But he's lying through his teeth. And that type of what do they call it? That type of politicking doesn't work anymore in today's, when you got Gen Z, Gen Xers, millennials in the mix now. They're not falling for that crap. You better come with receipts. You better come with being relatable, right? And so talking down to people, locking people up, telling people just trust me. No, we can't just trust you. Where is the information? Where are the tangibles? Where are the facts to what you're talking about? And when we look at your record over the past 50 years, it has not been conducive to progress in America. As a matter of fact, he's run for office several times before, and his first campaign ended because he was lying. He lied about his academic record and said he went to law school, right? He plagiarized a speech from one of the Kennedys. Joe Biden is a professional liar for all of his career, and why would we think at now, 81 years old, he's going to change the stripes on this tiger? I just don't fall for it, and I don't believe nobody in America, white, black, blue, red, whip, nobody's falling for it anymore. Joe Biden's out of here.
Yeah, he's got to go. I agree with you, bro. As far as like what he's done to this nation, I mean, when he got in there and he got elected, I immediately knew, like, man, this is some BS, and. I had something I was finna say. I had kind of lost my thought.
Well, see, you acting like Joe Biden. See, you rubbing off on you.
That's because I came from being a Democrat. They done fucked me up now, man.
Oh man.
But I can't remember what I said. But let's just move on, bro.
Yep.
What do you think about Trump's VP pick?
Man, so for several weeks I thought it would be Ben Carson. You know, I said, hey, Carson would be great. Carson has been super loyal to him. You know, Trump is so popular where he didn't need to pick anybody that would help expand the map in terms of getting certain states, because Trump is just that popular and Biden's doing so horribly. But I also think you have to be mindful and think, how can we, being that this is going to be Trump's last term, how can we make sure there's some continuity to MAGA? Right. Let me tell you something. MAGA has taken over the Republican Party. Ain't no more Republican Party. This is MAGA.
Yeah, that's it. Okay,
I'm a Republican, but I'm MAGA. Like I'm a Trumper. Right. That's why I'm here. I'm with Trump. Right. That's my guy. And so I think when you think about that, J.D. Vance is 39 years old, and he's young. He hasn't been in Washington a long time, so he doesn't have a lot of bad habits. Right. He's going to be loyal to Trump, which is important, because if Ron DeSantis didn't let out on people get in his ear and run against Trump, who put him on, DeSantis would not be governor if Trump didn't endorse him in 2018 and help him get a couple more votes, right? But then you turn your back and run against him. You don't do that, right? I will tell you something. Like I have several mentors in Houston that people have asked me over the years, man, you gonna run against them? And I said, no, dude, I would never run against certain people, right? Because they put me on, like they taught me a lot. They're my mentor, stuff like that. You don't do that, right? There's a certain level of respect and decorum that you have, right? And so DeSantis messed that up. Then Nikki Haley would have been a great pick, I thought too, right? She already was ambassador.
She started banging on Trump.
Yeah, and they start banging. Like, loyalty, man, is in politics. Loyalty is number one. If you can't trust people around you, you can't have them around you, right? And so I think JD was great. He's young, right? He has innovative ideas. I think one of his biggest thing is trying to get good legislation around cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
something that a lot of these old geezers haven't been able to wrap their minds around and how to make it work for the government and also for the people that want to utilize it. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's great. And then think about it. You go back and look at his old stances, as I think, if I'm correct, I think he used to be a Democrat at one point. And then when you listen to his words 6 or 7 years ago, he wasn't messing with Trump either. But I think that's a story of evolution for all of us. Many of us wasn't feeling Trump at first because he was something different that we had never seen. But once we got past all the fear mongering and all the shock, and we're like, oh, you know what, this dude actually all right. You know what I'm saying? And I think we're all settling in because this is the new politics in America. It's not that old buttoned up, real stuffy Barack Obama. Well, you know. That ain't
polished, that old polished stuff. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That ain't it no more, man. Yeah. People want real. They want real, and Trump represents that. So I think J.D. Vance is a very good pick. And also him being from Ohio, I think it helps shore up the Midwest, that Rust Belt, those states that you know, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Pennsylvania, that area. I think having a guy like that helps them kind of shore that up. And so I think it's a great pick. And man, Trump is killing the game. Like tonight, I'm looking at it. Is that what you got on the screen? I think it's what you got on the screen right now.
Yeah, the RNC. Yeah.
Man, Trump walked out a minute ago to James Brown. It's a man's world. I'm telling you, man, this dude is different, man. This dude is different.
Oh, man. I got to see,
man. But you know what that was? It's a shot. This is why I said his campaign this time around is so much better. It was a subtle shot at Kamala Harris. Joe Biden's sick. They're saying that Kamala's probably gonna step up, and he just sending a shot. Hey, it's a man's world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He different, man.
Yeah. Another point that I was gonna bring up earlier, was about the Dems. And you know how they always lying to us and gaslighting us when they have a president in office. They'll say, "Oh, the economy is this, the economy is that," but it's like you can't lie to the people anymore because I know what it feels like. You may be telling me the economy's great, but when I go to the grocery store and when I put gas in my car, you're trying to tell me that the GDP is this and we making all this, but the gas prices done went up. You telling me inflation is 17%.
Yeah.
If something was $1 and now I'm paying $2 for it, that ain't 17%. That's 100%.
Yeah. So it's funny that I'm laughing because I was just, before me and you came on, I was texting my brother that you and I were talking about before we came on, and I said, I hope he's watching this right now. And we were kind of talking about the economy. Matter of fact, let me look at the text we were just having a minute ago. And what did he say? He said, sounds like folks are doing well in Biden's economy. And I texted him back. I said 9% inflation. He said those are fake numbers. So I went and showed him the numbers from ChatGPT that said that the highest levels of inflation during the Trump administration was 2.9%. When Trump left office, it was at like 1.6%.
That's what I looked up.
So Biden inherited even after COVID, inherited a very solid economy. Biden took over and man, the inflation got to 9%. Right? That's insane. But here's the thing. You ever heard that quote? People won't always remember what you say, but they remember how you made them feel. Right? They remember how you made them feel. And so you can tell me that the economy is good. You can tell me that we have the most jobs in American history. You can tell me that inflation is coming down, but that's not how it feels to everyday people, Rod. Right? When I'm going to get diapers for my daughter and I'm paying $60 for 100 diapers, I can feel that when I swipe my card. Like, you know, when I'm going to put some gas in my car, I feel it when that thing finally clicks and I look at it and I was like, dang, $65? I feel that, right? When I'm going to get some groceries for my kids, you know, at the grocery store and when eggs and ground beef and a loaf of bread used to cost this during the Trump administration. Now, when you get 5 items and you're paying $60, nowadays you feel that, right? And so it's about what people feel. You can, you know, what do people say? Don't piss on me and tell me it's raining, right?
Right. Don't
We
blow smoke
feel
up
it
my ass.
in our bank accounts, and I think that's very important. That's why people want Biden out of here, because he doesn't know where he is. People are talking about the economy. American people are talking about the economy. They're talking about crime in the cities, all these different things. In every interview this dude doing, he wants to talk about NATO. He wants to talk about foreign countries. He wants to talk about Ukraine. That's where all our money is going.
And
right?
all the foreign spending, they're sending. That Ukraine stuff is killing me, because these people have not cast not one vote, but they're getting funding.
Not only funding, man. Our money is paying their pensions over there. Their pensions, brother. So we're making sure Ukrainians retire and live well. Meanwhile, Americans are struggling to make sure they got a good retirement. You know, I know some old folks that are in their 60s and 70s and still working at Walmart or TJ Maxx or whatever, just to have some extra money because their retirement ain't where it need to be. You see what I'm saying? You know, and so Joe Biden, I think it's safe to say, I used to think it was Jimmy Carter, but I feel very confident in saying that Joe Biden is the worst president in American history, especially in my lifetime, but worst president in America.
Definitely in my lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful. And, you know, now that I have a daughter, it is my responsibility to make sure I do my part to make sure she has a brighter future. And that starts with making sure we have leadership in the White House that corresponds with a brighter future. And there's nothing about an 81-year-old Joe Biden that says bright future whatsoever. But when I look at J.D. Vance being a part of the Trump Vance ticket, I see bright future. I see progress, and I'm proud to be MAGA, brother.
Me too, man. I'm not even gonna play with it. Like I'm voting for Trump, and I'm proud to vote for the Republicans. I ain't gonna say I'm MAGA. You know, I'm not gonna go that far.
That's okay, brother. That's okay.
But
that's okay.
I'm voting Trump.
That's okay.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Man, if anybody else got any thoughts or anything, I'm gonna hang around for another minute or two. If you want to come up, you want to get on camera with us and talk about this, you can. I'm gonna just hang around for a few more minutes. I don't know if Damien wants to, but if he doesn't, then I'll just shut it down.
No, man. But let me say this, man. So let's talk about the dilemma that Democrats are facing, and I try not to talk about Democrats a lot.
I'll put the link in the chat. So if you want to join us, the link in the chat.
I try not to talk about bring anybody. Come on up. Let's chop it up. I try not to talk about Democrats a lot because I don't like to get into the back and forth and the fighting and all that kind of stuff, because my thing is really, I like to talk to independent voters who are undecided, who don't know where they stand, and do what I can to try to help inform them so they can make the best decision. Like, if you want to vote Democrat, that's your business. I respect that. You have a right to vote. And let me say this, you also have a right not to vote if you don't want to, because the ways in which I believe it's on the candidates that are running to do something compelling, to reach the voters, to compel them to come out and vote. But I hate vote shaming, right? If people say, well, the ancestors died so we can vote. No, the ancestors died for the right to choose to vote. And if I feel like all these politicians are slimy, they're in the swamp, they ain't about nothing, and I want to sit on the couch and eat my potato chips and eat some tuna sandwiches, then I'll do that. But I ain't got to go vote. And don't shame me or try to make me feel like I'm less American because I don't want to go vote for these horrible options that we have. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And another thing I had thought about earlier when you was talking about the whole us being Republicans and being shamed, I bet you had a family member just like this when you was a kid, because I did. It was my uncle. He was a Republican, and everybody used to make fun of him and say little snide remarks, and we used to have our little comments about him when he came around.
Yeah.
And he knew it, you know what I'm saying? But he kind of was just like, I'm not really tripping on y'all, whatever. And now it's almost like I kind of feel bad, because it's like I understand what he was saying about some of the stuff, even though when I was a kid I didn't, but now I do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us are starting to come to certain realizations about some things.
Nah, man, you know what? I didn't have a family member. All my family are Democrats. My close family are Democrats.
Not even one?
Nope.
That just was.
Nope. Nope. No, they weren't. Like, I'm different. I'm always the one that's gonna do something different, that's gonna be brave, that's gonna go against the grain. I mean, you know how I am in these spaces. I like to push back and be, go against the grain a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was one individual. I think for me, Democrats used to treat Republicans like they had the cooties or something. And I'm like, man, these are regular people. I'm like, we may disagree politically, but let's have a conversation, let's have a drink, let's chop it up. And so I was like, man, these people are regular. They just like me. They just think a little different. They watch sports. They want to raise their kids and stuff. And so I began. It's crazy, man. I think about it now. I don't know if you know who Bob Woodson is. He's a very well-respected conservative thinker, old black man, has an institute in D.C. I interviewed with him for a job probably about 10 years ago. And I honestly had no idea what he stood for. No idea. I had no idea about conservative ideals and values and things like that. I didn't know how big he was. I had no idea who he was. And I think about it now. I'm like, man, I sat down with Bob Woodson, right? And so I think it was those interactions with just a bevy of different Republicans who really made sense. They were just regular people. We had conversations, and it just made more sense to me, my values and where I align. I was like, when I just saw more and more stuff that the Democrats were doing, I was like, man, I don't agree with this stuff, even though I was doing a lot of work within the Democratic Party and making some moves. I was like, man, when I go home at night, I was like, man, I don't agree with this stuff they talking about. And if I'm being real with who I am, the person that I am, I do what I believe in. I don't go along to get along. And I was like, man, this is tough for me. So eventually I was like, man, I'm gonna say this last part. I was doing some national interviews, and I would go on these shows. One of the shows I was on was the Black News Channel. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, BNC?
Yeah, BNC. Yeah. I was on BNC.
I think I seen you on there. Yeah,
probably did. I was on there several times, and I was being interviewed by this black lady. And the person who set up the interview for me, he was like, man, they want you to come on to talk about blah, blah, blah. I said, cool. I said, dude, but let them know I'm not going to say what they want me to say. He was like, whatever, just do it. So I went on there, and she asked me a little easy softball black question, and I was expected to just start talking noise about white people and Republicans, and I didn't do that. And so she started asking me these. She got an attitude.
Trying to lead you, huh?
Yeah, she got an attitude. Start asking me these crazy questions because she was mad about my answer. And I answered her whatever. And I said to myself, I said, she ain't gonna invite me back. So I was talking to one of my homeboys, and he was like, man, I saw the interview. I said, what you think? He said, man, you need to start being yourself, bro. He said, stop holding back. He said, that's not you. You holding back. Be yourself. And it was that moment where I said, man, let me just take the gloves off. I'm a Republican, and I'm just going to come out and be a Republican, man. And my life has been so much greater and so much better and so much freer ever since, bro.
Were you on there talking about voting rights?
Yep. You remember that?
I pulled up the clip. I got it right here. Here we go. Hold on. Let me. Hold on.
Well, that was one of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did the black lady have on pink?
Yeah, it was a black lady. It was Tashani. Every time I was on it was the black lady Tashani, right?
Okay.
It was. Let me see. Can I find the actual conversation I'm talking about? It might be on my YouTube. I'm gonna find it, and I want you to see it and see what I'm talking about.
All right. I'm gonna pop this one in and just see if this one is.
Okay, that might be it.
Let me see.
While you playing that one, I'm gonna find that other one real quick.
Can you see that?
Yeah. So yeah, that's one right there. Yeah.
Okay. Is this the right one?
Yeah. Well, that's one of them.
Actually gave their
but that was a good one too.
And it's our
responsibility.
Oh, so it's also they.
If you got the real one, then I would like to play that one.
If that one is up, the other one should be up.
Okay. I typed in BNC News and put your first name.
And joining me now is Damian Jones.
And I pulled it up.
Just about that. What are your thoughts about what Tamika Mallory just said?
Can you hear it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me again, Tashani. I think Sister Tamika is absolutely correct. When I think about Ella Bakers of the world, Bayard Rustins of the world, Stokely Carmichaels of the world, and all the work that they did so many years ago, it is the time of millennials now to draw their line in the sand and lift their voice and be heard and make it clear to politicians across this country, whether you're Democrat or Republican, that justice is nonpartisan, and we will not stand for it anymore. So I'm so excited to see young people of all colors and creeds standing up, marching across this country to make sure we have the proper right to vote, that we have jobs and justice across the board. So I'm excited about it, and Sister Tamika is one of those folks who are on the front lines of this fight.
But Damian, is it moving the needle, or is it just a mere badge to say, I did it?
Give me that question one more time. You said, is it moving the needle?
Is it marching? Is it moving the needle?
Yeah,
Or
listen to
is
what
it
I say
more
about
so
this.
Just a badge to say I was out there, I was marching.
Oh,
Are we making
yeah,
progress?
yeah. You know, to Tashani, that's a beautiful question. Thank you so much for that question. Listen, I think we live in a time now where activism has become cute. It's more of a badge on IG and Facebook to post like I was. Good question. Is there really progress? Well, if we look at, in often places, we're in the same space we were 50 years ago. So obviously we aren't making progress. You would think that in a time where we just moved out of 8 years of a black president, we now have a black vice president who's also a woman, but we're still fighting for the same things. And so I'm a personal believer that marching doesn't get us anywhere. I believe that we have to have conversations across the board with everybody. We have to be serious about the demands that we make, and we can't be happy with taking a picture with a politician and then they talk us off the ledge. So I'm not a proponent of marching. You won't see me marching anytime soon, but I think we need to go into these offices and have serious conversations with Republicans and Democrats and politicians across the board and demand things. And if they don't give us what it is that we want, then we will vote them out. So I appreciate that great question, Tashani.
So Damian, what's your approach? If you're
So
not marching,
you see that? You see that?
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
You see, she didn't like that I said marching is a waste of time and I won't march, because they're so used to black people saying, let's just get out and march and say we shall overcome. That's what they wanted me to say, right? But I said marching is a waste of time. That's that Al Sharpton race baiting crap, right?
Right.
There are
right.
better ways to reach folks and reach our politicians than marching in the streets, right? How about
especially with technology,
Twitter? How about you just go to the legislator or the Capitol and go meet with them in their offices? What are we marching for in the hot sun? This is not 1960. This is not walking across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And Edmund Pettus was a KKK Grand Wizard.
KKK member.
So why are we still celebrating walking across that bridge, getting bricks thrown at our heads? It is asinine to me. So, but because groupthink and that democratic thinking, she couldn't embrace that I had a different thought. And that's another thing, how black women don't have respect for black men that have their own thoughts. And so then she gonna follow up with me with that stupid question. For what's your approach? Well, you didn't bring me on this show to be the politician, right? You just can't get my thoughts on it. But because I stepped out of line per se, now you want to come give me this snarky follow-up question. But go ahead, I handled it though.
Yeah. Continue. Let's go.
I believe you have serious conversations. I believe you go into these offices and you have private conversations. You don't have to bash people. Listen, I think the bashing of folks in the public doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't bring us to the center when we try to embarrass people. We're now into a space where we're about embarrassment politics. We're about embarrassing people on Twitter. If we go into these conversations with a good heart to try to reach the sensible center and try to find common ground with folks, I think we can get somewhere. When you look at Lyndon Baines Johnson and all the things that he was able to do as president, all the things he passed for black folks.
You want me to continue with this one, or you want me to play the other?
Sit down and talk and reason with anybody and find what it is that they wanted. But now we're moving into a space where we want to bash people. I'm not about bashing. I'm about having.
I got you right here.
So as you pull that one up, so this was the second interview. The one, this one right there, the one you about to pull up right here was the first interview I did with her. And after I finished, I was like, man, they ain't gonna never let me back on. And somehow they let me back on that second time. And I don't think so when I popped on the screen for that second, she was like, oh, it's you again.
Oh, shit.
She was so disrespectful. But I was professional about it. So this is another conversation where she didn't like my answer. She asked me about Republicans. At that time, I was not out as a Republican at that time. So she thought I was just coming with the Democrat stuff. And so I caught off guard, and she had a problem with my answer. Go ahead.
You mentioned that the lieutenant governor basically passed the buck on black people for spreading the virus, for cases surging there.
This was during COVID.
Your governor also alleged that people crossing the border illegally was causing cases
so she's
to
talking
also
about
surge.
Greg Abbott and
Do
Dan
you
Patrick.
think this type of rhetoric makes voters comfortable to come out and exercise their voice when the folks at the helm, at the top, are speaking like this?
Yeah, she on attack mode.
Great question, Tashani. Well, I'll say this. I've been a big proponent of unity in this state. And the folks that I talk to want unity. When we elect the 181 members of this Texas legislature and the 535 members of the United States Congress, we expect folks to go and act like adults. We expect folks to talk to each other with respect and dignity as we work through these tough issues. Listen, just in our family, your family, we have tough things to work through, right? But we have to talk to each other with respect. So, yes, there have been some abhorrent things and terrible things coming from the mouth of Governor Abbott and also Lieutenant Governor Patrick. But there have also been some terrible things coming from my friends on the Democratic side as well. We all are guilty because this country is more divided than ever. And we need to find a way to come together, respect one another, because that's what the voters are looking for. Listen, we can't, if I have problems in my family, I can't up and just leave. I can't just call people names. We got to sit down at the dinner table like everyday people and work through these issues as a country together, because we'll never find unity if we are playing the blame game and pointing fingers at everyone. Let me just say this, though, Tashani. Black folks came out and supported Joe Biden at a very high rate. And on top of Joe Biden's list of items was not voting rights. It was coronavirus, providing relief for those things. It was jobs and the economy, which Black folks need. It was about criminal justice reform. So I think somewhat we are a little misguided by spending so much time on voting rights in a state where there's high voter turnout. And we ought to be focusing on how can we make sure that the unvaccinated are getting vaccinated, how we can help folks put food on the table, and how we can provide better criminal justice reform for Black folks in this country. So I think sometimes politicians can get misguided and have their own agenda and not listen to the actual agenda of the people of Texas.
Yeah. So I cut that video because I kind of cut her part out.
Let me save this video.
Yes, I cut her part out. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I just be trying to spit the truth. They don't want to hear that. They want people to come on and them show and say, we shall overcome, and all white people are bad, and all the Republicans are evil, and they going to put us back in chains.
Hey, we're going back to slavery. Yep.
You're not going to get that from me. You're not going to get that from me. So I try to be truthful. I try to be honest in these conversations. I try to be respectful. And man, but I love it. And I'm going to say this, because I got to run. But
for sure.
Man, I'm just so happy where we are in terms of moving the needle and changing the narrative, and Black people and people of all colors and creeds are seeing that all the lies about Donald Trump were just fabricated. You're seeing all these cases that they brought on him are falling apart. The federal case, gone. Fonnie Willis, that's done. All the stuff they tried. And once all that couldn't work, then somebody tried to take the man out. Like, this dude is the most popular politician in American history.
Teflon Don.
Teflon Don, man. And so we need to protect him at all costs.
Yeah.
And I think our country is headed in the right direction once we get him back in the White House, brother.
Man, I agree with you, man. And as always, I appreciate you always coming on my podcast, man.
Yes,
and
sir.
let them know where they can follow you at. And as y'all can see, he got his own podcast on YouTube. Make sure y'all follow, subscribe, whatever you got to do.
Hit me up. Yeah, hit me up. I'm on YouTube, the Damian Jones Podcast. You can see it on the screen right there. You can follow me on X as well. I think it's on the screen, at Noble Negro. Right. Negro with the E on the end. We try to have fun and have some good conversations. I'm also a Baptist preacher as well, so I love everybody unconditionally. My favorite verse in the Bible is Matthew, the 23rd chapter, and the 11th verse, that says, the greatest among you will be your servant. And so as we pass through this life, we want to make sure we can serve somebody, help somebody, and love somebody. And so I hope I serve your show, Rod. I love you, brother, and I hope it was helpful with the conversation, too, man.
I appreciate it, man, and I always appreciate you coming on. Anytime I always ask him to come on, he'll come on and just participate. It's never no animosity. We don't have any issues with each other. We just cordial with each other, and man, that's where we need to be. I think we all need to get to a place where we can sometimes disagree and agree.
Yes, sir.
But just always be cordial with each other.
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna go ahead and end it with that. And I appreciate you coming on, and I hope to see you next time. And have a good night, brother.
Hit me up, man. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right.
Everybody else, peace.